Wow, welcome to another edition of Motley Croc Show. It's actually 125-24. It's interesting to me because it seems like I just wake up and do a show and wake up, and here we are again, seeing everybody. We're waiting on Jeff and Brittany and everybody to come on. Jimmy's going to be on a little bit later because it was cold. He's probably finishing up a bunch of stuff or getting animals out for the day. It's been kind of wild here in Florida as far as the weather goes. We've got 75 degrees one day, 80 degrees one day, nothing the next day. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. So definitely he's probably getting caught up with a bunch of stuff. Anyhow, we'll hold off there to make sure Brittany's coming in soon. We'll just kind of hold the ground here for a little while and check on a few things. We'll go into a few topics I want to talk to Brittany about for sure. We definitely want to go get her opinion on some stuff. They were bringing up a couple things called UAP jellyfish. I saw Jeff ask a question about that earlier today, and I was wondering about that myself, honestly. But we'll see what comes up with that. But if anybody's here, man, I'd like to, if anybody's on, please feel free to comment so I know you're here, because it doesn't look like I can see anybody on at the moment, or hopefully we got this right. But with that being said, I'm still hanging out, waiting for them to chime in, so let's hope everybody's chimed in. Let's see what we got here. Yep, that looks good. It looked like we're good to go there. Everybody looks like they got their stuff. If you're on and you can actually see it, just comment and say hello. I want to make sure we're lined up. We have had a couple problems lately with the internet. Sometimes it cuts in, and I want to make sure my voice is coming through clear. And then I'll go ahead and get everybody there signing in. So we'll go ahead and bring everybody up to speed on what's going on. But yeah, so one of the topics tonight is going to be Alabama, I guess, tried to put the death sentence on somebody, went to follow through with it, but it failed, and he lived through it. And I thought that when you live through something like that, I thought they had to let you go, but I guess they're going to be one of the first states to do nitrogen death sentence stuff. I don't know. So that's kind of weird too. You can give me your thoughts on that. And like I said earlier, the UAP jellyfish, I'm curious to hear what Brittany has to say about that. A UAP unidentified, what is that? Unidentified something phenomenon, something like that, I think. What's up, Bill? How you doing, buddy? Thank you. Let me see what we got here. We got people coming in. Well, we got a bunch of texts, and everybody's got excuses, and we don't got anybody here, so I'm just going to carry it on. Yeah, UAP, something about a jellyfish, they said, and I'm not really sure what exactly they were talking about. Hey, how are you, Judy? So I really would like to touch base on that. So we're going to see what's going on here. And then we'll talk a little bit about that new death sentence stuff. And we've got a couple other things. There was a woman, I guess, who tortured animals with a dull. What's up, Ange? Tortured animals with a dull knife, I would think, and then posted it on 20,000 of her viewers or something like that. Craig, how are you, buddy? I'm sorry, waiting everybody to come in. I'm still waiting. But they, I guess you got to film. So we're going to talk a little about that. Joshua, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. So I definitely want to look in a little bit about that too. I'm trying to look and see what we got, what our topics are. So those are the three topics I'd like to start off with. And then I guess we'll get a little bit about the animal stuff. We had some interesting people in town. I want to talk about that. We had a pretty good dinner last night with Kurt Harbsmeyer, and he set it up for a pretty famous National Geographic photographer. So I'll touch on that. We'll give you some information on what he's got going on too. I mean, that's going to be some good stuff. And then when Jeff gets in, we'll see if Jeff's had any type of things to talk about, and we'll go from there. I'm just going to keep it going. Anybody got any questions for the week I can answer? Craig, you got anything good going on, man, that you might have come across? Anything kind of fun, anything crazy? Shoot that out to me too. Ange, it's really good to see you. I'm glad you're here. That's pretty cool. How is it? Is it cold up there? I can imagine it's probably pretty chilly. I don't know. Pops, you're probably still down in South Florida. It's Mom's good to see you. Oh, we got some people. Joshua, what's up, buddy? Again, how are you doing? While we're waiting, man, I'm waiting everybody to come in. They got these topics they were going to bring to me, so I only kind of have the headlines on them, and then we'll go from there, and I'll try to keep things flowing. We'll talk a little bit about that stuff too, but we met some interesting people last night. It was really cool, and I learned a lot about photography and what it does and what he did and how it's protecting a lot of endangered species or even bringing them back from being like completely extinct, which is or going on extinction, functionally extinct. I'm sorry, not like we have something in captivity and we've kept it going as an insurance policy, but like functionally in the wild, there are certain things like that are extinct. And I think that it's pretty cool when you have someone that takes a little bit of an initiative to really reach out and do that. And I'm going to give you all that information too, because I'd like you guys to check him out after the show. I think we got someone coming in, logging in now, and we have, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? Sorry I'm late, y'all.
Hey, don't worry about it, man. I know we had a stuff. It was pretty cool. Ian said today was actually 55 the other day. Wow. 12 degrees, not good. We were 37 here. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, it got down to about
33,
34. I had to actually crank up the heater in my garage a couple extra points. And now I need to put in a new air conditioner in there because it's getting too hot for the animals in the afternoon. It's too cold in the morning.
I know.
Fucking Florida. What are you going to do?
9 degrees, Josh. Well, come in again and tell me where you were. That's my God. Oh my God, dude. No, thank you, bro.
You must live near Jimmy.
I've been there. Jimmy too he told me, which I'm sure he's probably taking care of stuff now, but he said he'd come on a little later, but he told me that it got really cold there. Him and I were going out that night and looking, and it was like, oh, awesome. And he said it was really cold. And I mean, every 2 hours I was shooting him a text like, man, I know it's freezing out there because I was looking on the weather up there that way. Bro, that's just unreal stuff. And it was cold too. So it wasn't
cold winter so far. Hopefully it'll be a short one. But it was 80 something here today.
I hope so.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it was pretty warm. I have inspections. So we were outside today just going through some stuff and hanging out with all the critters, make sure everybody was good. And I thought it was kind of cool. But it was kind of a nice day, cleaning the pool deck.
Yeah,
putting some new bedding in, making sure all of our little critters were good, because they can come and inspect whenever they want. But when you're going in and out all the time and it's cold and you got animals in and animals out, you're going to have empty enclosures, and then you got stacks and stuff. So I'm kind of glad that at least until Sunday when it cools off, tomorrow's supposed to be a pretty day. And I like it when the officers come over and it's a nice day because you get to see the animals. And I know that there's
for sure. How many days in a row do you have inspections?
I just have for this place Friday tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I'm just glad that through Sunday we have heat, so I don't have to lock anybody up tonight. And then, he has to come and see a bunch of empty enclosures because it just never, it's,
Right.
And I think a lot of the times, certain places that they go, I'm sure they like to see some of the critters. They kind of get to know them. Some of those officers get to know. I mean,
sure.
The ones I have over the years, I've seen the animals, realize the animals, and some of them are pretty. They talk about them, and it's kind of cool to see. So it's kind of nice, man.
It's good to have.
So when they get to see something, they can identify with it.
Right,
man, he's looking good, or I haven't seen him in 6 months. Kind of thing. So it's kind of cool to do that.
Yeah, you can get a base for the animals.
Craig, most bizarre thing I saw this week was a kid who committed a murder after a 10-year history of burning cats alive, but nobody saw the murder coming.
The cat saw it coming.
So that's interesting. He would burn cats alive, but nobody saw the murder coming. I agree, and I know exactly what you're saying, Craig. It's kind of like we talked about before with Jeffrey Dahmer. If you're, putting your baby gravy on a dead animal in a garage when your dad walks in, I think that's, I can't say certain words because they'll kick me off. So baby and gravy isn't a bad thing yet. So if you're going to put baby gravy on a dead animal with your hot dog in your hand, I think that should tell you right there your kid has an issue. I mean, I don't know about you guys, dude, but
just having no pants on around a dead animal, or even having a dead animal in the garage, that's not going to become a piece of tax.
I'm for real. I don't know how I can take that, dude. Come on, Jeff. That's
and
I don't know. That's pretty wild stuff. But yeah, so I mean, if you think about that type of stuff that people do, but I was talking a little bit about it and I sent it to you guys. It was sent to me about a woman torturing animals with a dull knife on her YouTube channel. I just don't understand how you would not be immediately, like, you can't say certain words on here and they're like banning your account and all that, but that for that amount of stuff to be seen and not stopped, that doesn't make no sense.
Yeah, no, it's completely fucked up. Can you hear me still, or?
I do hear you, Jeff. I know you're a little lag in video, but I do hear you. Yes, you're very clear.
A little lag, and I think that was my problem signing on because I couldn't get my messages on my computer to refresh to get the link. So it was a bit of a pain.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy story, man. It's funny that people think it's Satanists that sacrifice animals when it's really just crazy people.
It's really people looking for likes.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely that story, was hard to read. Even
Yeah,
a
I
chicken.
looked at it and I really couldn't believe it. I was like, this is not what is wrong? She says, you get taken off the air. She says you get taken off the air for saying stupid words, but nobody has a problem with somebody trying to abuse an animal on YouTube. That just goes, okay, everybody's fine. Well, I can say this about it. Depending on what you're doing, I mean, I know that there's some YouTube channels, hunting channels where they show them killing an animal and they chase it down. It's, it's bleeding and it's screaming or whatever. And then they show you how to gut the animal on site. And so YouTube allows that. So if a bot allows that, right, it's not going to notice that you're doing something to another animal in the same sense. I wouldn't believe it's looking for specific, things. Like it can catch a naked body or it can catch something really out of control. But, and even then there's, you can find anything on YouTube that you want. I mean, really, it's
sure.
so funny that they can do whatever they want as long as it's labeled a certain way. Right.
Look at all the python hunting videos. That's one of the reasons why, one of the many reasons why I got out of that is just people posting like bloody videos, and it's not necessary.
Kind of my screen, you went a little black on me, Jeff, but I still hear you.
Okay. I'm going to sign out and come back in.
All right. Sean, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, do it, Jeff. What's going on, Sean? How you doing? Yeah, so yes. When somebody call a report and ask to be taken off, or they kick you off for saying certain words, yes. But someone did report it finally. I mean, I'm sure somebody saw it. But if you have a large group of hunting and abusing are two different things, 100%. Hey, beginners, how are you? Jeff's signing out and coming back in. He had some lag, and I still don't know where Brittany's at. So, anyways, I think that when you post that type of stuff, once it's posted, I think so many people see it before it gets reported. If you have a huge following and you have a big following account, if you will, and the people already are in that algorithm and they see your stuff, and you say you have 20,000, 40,000, 50,000 followers, which isn't a big deal, but I mean, it's still a lot. When it hits that, it's going to be out there at least 15 minutes or so before someone goes, hey, this is bad. And then it gets reviewed and then it gets lost and then it gets kicked off. I mean, that's such a touchy thing. I mean, I don't know how they get away with some of that stuff that they do. But the worst part is how do you torture another living thing like that and expect that to be okay? Or, I mean, I guess it's just me, but I don't understand why someone could do that. And I'm not talking about hunting. I'm not talking about doing anything like that. I'm talking about torturing something on purpose just to get likes. It doesn't make sense to me. That's something I can't wrap my head around. It makes sense to me. In a fashion, I know people do stuff to get likes and to get money and to be, prosperous at the caring about nothing in itself. But it makes no sense to me that a human could do that. It's just disgusting. It started on YouTube channel and immediately was flagged, showing an enrichment video. I shot of a Komodo dragon and rabbit suspended over its head. So obviously you weren't doing it with a live rabbit. I've seen them do it where they tie the frozen thawed rabbit out. But you're feeding an animal, and feeding videos just have to be labeled as live feeding. But to torture something, I just wonder why that wasn't caught, Craig. You know what I'm saying? Like I just wonder why that wasn't caught. To me, that just doesn't make any sense. I just don't even know. Because I've said stuff or posted a particular picture or used a word and they're like, oh my God, oh, this is it right here. You guys are, you're banned for 6 weeks. We got to protect our community, but you can torture things. I'm just not sure that I understand, I sent you a link, Craig. I'd be glad to have you on if you want to come on and chat with me. I'd love to see you. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think torturing something online is. I remember years ago, I think I brought it up where a young lady. Hey, Michelle, how are you? A young lady had caught a gopher tortoise, and then I think her and her friend set it on fire, and then filmed it. put it on YouTube. But how long did it take? And all it did was make that video. People search that video, they want to see it. So it's, it's bringing views, probably because, like, I don't know that I never saw it. I saw a still shot of it when we spoke about it, and it was on the news channel. Like, it was like a still shot. It looked like a couple of kids standing next to a gopher tortoise in the front yard. It wasn't on fire yet. And then there was a couple still shots of flame. You could see a flame on the animal's back. And then there was a video. I started to play the video, and it made me sick. And I kind of I went like that. I looked away from oh man, I kind of want to see it suffer. Cause they get terrified and they run it. And I actually heard those girls laughing about it. Now, something's wrong with you, dude, to do that. Something is really, really wrong with you. That's not, you're not, I don't know. You're not doing that for any type of, there you are, Jeff. You're not doing that for any type of food, or I have to cook this, or I'm gutting it, I have to humanely kill it. You're doing that to get a look, and I think that type of stuff, I don't know why we tolerate as much as we do, and I think, living on the edge, and I use that song today in the ad from Aerosmith, there's something wrong in the world today, the light's getting dim, and that song was written a long time ago, and it's the light's going out. It's going to be like the new lyric to that song. Yeah. We are losing people at a rapid rate to dumb shit. So
yeah, I feel like people are getting stupider every generation.
I don't understand it either. I can't even watch commercials about abused or neglected animal. It breaks my heart. Well, let me touch on that too. Be careful here, Jeff. But
tread lightly.
Animal rights activists get a hold of those. And usually it's, ASPCA and SPCA and PETA and all that stuff. And they put that on there to really jerk your heart around. But a lot of that stuff is propaganda, to get you to spend money on their organization to tell you that they don't want you to have a dog or a companion or an animal. These people don't want you having animals.
Right.
At all. But I think, in my opinion of it, and I've come across working at different facilities, these sneaky bastards that work for PETA, and they try to sneak in and get in, and you can kind of pick them out. Once you've seen them enough, you can pick them out. You know what I mean? They're not very smart. But, so let's tell them, if we catch you in here doing something that you're not, yeah. If we catch you and you're doing something in here, and you're coming in for PETA or any animal movement, and you're coming here to start trouble or set an animal free, and we catch you, we're going to beat you to death before you get out that gate.
I'm in the cage with the animal they wanted to set free.
Exactly, dude. That's my point. And a lot of times, you can ask Flavio. A lot of times they won't come back. They just don't come back to work the next day.
Oh, I believe it.
They kind of know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that, with that being said, a lot of people do that. Yes, Michelle said ASPCA keeps so much of the money. They do, and they use it for rallying up some stuff. Hey, I got Craig. What's up, dude?
What's happening?
Oh shit, that's
good. What's happening, guys?
He has some cool stories. I want to hear him. You were talking about that. You filmed a feeding. Okay, so folks, a feeding is. I'm assuming it was frozen thawed, right, Craig?
Yeah, it was actually a Croc Fest in Tampa when they fed the Komodo for everybody. I found that old video, put it on YouTube, and right away. They were, no, you can't do this. So I was like, screw you. So I put it up again probably about 20 minutes before the show started. So we'll see if it uploaded.
Nice.
And they do that. Hey, Jim, what's up? Jim Brinkley. Yes. And ASPCA euthanizes 97% of animals. They do. And it gets to this really twisted web, and where, like, you have these quote unquote rescues. Most rescues, dude. I mean, let's be real about that. There are some decent rescues, but most rescues are just people who want to have the things that they don't want anybody else having.
Right, or have a bunch of free animals. People all the time, on a reptile rescue. I'm like, unless you're 501c3 or, some kind of status, you're just a person that wants to keep a bunch of reptiles or dogs or cats or what have you.
I know, and it's a bad thing. Craig, if you can hear me, you're kind of freezing. You're kind of freezing, and there's a lag, Craig.
I think it was loud.
If you sign out and sign back in, it'll probably clear it up for you.
Yeah, that worked for me.
All right.
Yeah, there was a lag. Just sign out and sign back in, and I'll bring you back on. Yeah, I got a text that said the animal cruelty woman that did that was charged with 4 counts of aggravated animal cruelty.
Well, let me leave.
Murder.
Social media is giving some people a platform to broadcast evil things for attention. Yeah. One of those comedians said that it gives idiots a voice and something to do.
That's the worst thing to ever happen to the world.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh yeah,
reptile rescues, breed are my favorites. Yeah. Yep.
People also.
There's a lot of it, dude. That's why when I tell people, I don't lie about it. And I know Jeff doesn't. I get what I want. Jeff gets what he wants, right? I mean,
pretty much. People offer me animals all the time, and I'm just like, I just don't have the space or the time. You know.
If I have room for something that I know that I would like to work with, and it's available, I'll definitely do it. If it is a terrorist organization, 100%. If I can't, and I know that I can line something up, like if someone goes, hey, I have a bunch of northern hognose, we're looking for a place, they were taking whatever, I'm going to be like, I'll take them. Hey, Jeff, I got something for you. And that's one of the things that really makes it different. What punishment? I don't know yet. I haven't got that far. As soon as I get some more into it, we'll definitely do it. Tammy said, I rescued all my dogs. Latest was his neighbor's dog. It had been locked outside for 5 days and nights. Happened while I was in a hospital. The poor thing weighed 12 pounds. It wasn't letting anyone slip through the cracks. Well, I'm glad you did that. That's kind of a cool. Jeff, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Glad you're here.
What's up, Jeff?
I don't want to bring a shit animal into my collection. It's too risky. Yep, a lot of times that happens. But, I mean, it depends on what it is. And let me tell you something. I got to tell you, some stuff that's been thrown my way before was definitely not shitty.
Oh,
it's
same.
just,
yeah.
They don't call me on stuff like, but when something comes through, sometimes it's a confiscation or something that somebody was neglecting, or it was from a zoological whatever. And so if it's a worthy animal, I'll take care of it. But I don't call myself a rescue. I mean, a lot of people do that. They open up these big rescues, and nobody else should have these but them.
What's up, Holly?
What's up, Holly? How are you?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of adoption. You see. Animal adoption, because all the conditional species at the time, when I still had a permit, they would call me and I'd go get whatever. I don't know if you remember when I picked up the green anaconda, like the 6.
Oh yeah.
And the guy's like, oh, it's totally chill and gentle. I picked it up in Leesburg in February.
What's up, Tara?
Truck, and the guy gave it to me in a tub of water, which is fine if there was a little warmth. By the time I got it home, I kind of had it like wrapped around my arm while I was putting everybody else away. That thing laid into me so freaking hard. I still have a scar.
They're bad like that, man.
And that was the strongest snake I ever put my hands on in my life. 5 feet long, and it bucked like a 15-foot retic.
Oh yeah, man. They're unreal. I remember I'm like, man, anacondas have a strength all their own, dude. And it's
crazy.
It's definitely not. A lot of people say, I've been doing it a long time. Craig, you have too, and Jeff has. I just think that, I mean, I know what I've worked with for almost in my entire life. And when someone says certain animals aren't beginner animals, there's a reason for that. You definitely, I mean, come on, man. You really got to, you know what I mean? Like you really got to know what you're doing. Like, if you're a little kid and starting out with a corn snake is great, man. Like learning about them, how they move, when they're upset. But if you want to learn how an anaconda can act, just get a water snake. Okay?
Yeah. Yep. Water snakes are strong.
Watch how it acts mainly. Watch how it acts mainly. And just understand that it's 20 feet.
Yeah,
now,
I think boas.
That's what it's going to act like.
Yeah.
Boas and pythons are not starter snakes. There's no question about it.
Yeah, bull snakes too. I keep a lot of bulls and gopher snakes, and they're definitely not for the faint of heart. They're loud, they're hissy, they bite, they're not fun animals for the most part.
The best advice I ever got from somebody was, am I still lagging?
A little bit, but you're good. You're catching up. You're good. Go for it.
But from the best advice I got is I wanted to get into hot snakes so fast it wasn't even funny. And I had some pretty good mentors, and they're like, no. If you want to get into hot stuff, go keep racers and coach whips for about 3 or 4 years before you even think about getting into something hot. And that was probably the best advice that I ever had. I fell in love with the coach whips. But that was probably the best advice that I ever got. Definitely, hot stuff is not beginner stuff. No question about it.
No.
The thing about hot snakes, this is what I see, is that, just because a snake can kill you doesn't mean it actually will. But people handle it differently, and that's, you just got to give it respect. You got to just
understand. Yeah, you got to understand the capability, and that's it. I think Jeff nailed it there. Yep.
It's there, but I try not to get bit by anything if I can help it. No,
I did a lot of stupid stuff when I was younger. I got a lot of pictures of me free handling eastern diamondbacks and things like that. Today, I kicked somebody in the nuts for doing that today.
Yep, that's what you live and learn when you live through it.
Yeah, and I can't say that I haven't free handled a couple hots. I've been a little risky at times, but I like to look at them, and I just love snakes, all of them for the most part. Even the trash snakes, even the water snakes, and the freaking racers. Every time I see them, it's still great, At
Daytona last year, I picked up a Midlands water snake. I love those things; they're gorgeous. They were $10. I'm like, I can't pass that up. I got me a $10. It was like 3 weeks old. Yeah, I couldn't pass that up.
Definitely the prettiest water snake out there, in my opinion, without a doubt.
Oh yeah,
I love Midlands.
Yeah, Mackenzie. Which ones?
She said, Michelle said, I grew up with king snakes. I said, they're cool. I like kings.
I love king snakes.
I think they're a really cool snake.
I like
Molly said here. She wrote me a book. Let's see here.
I like the mosaics from those outer islands in the Carolinas. Those things are really gorgeous.
Yeah, she's talking about some brown snakes cruising around here, South
like
Australia. And there's no way I'd get too close. Just especially because I grew up in a snake-free country.
Nasty brown snakes.
You got the red-bellied black snakes there too, huh? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the king brown, I think, is one of the most venomous snakes they have there, if not the.
Well, the inland taipan is the one that's the hottie.
Yeah, taipans, and they're fast.
Yeah, the inland taipan, you're dead within like 30, 60 seconds, correct? I mean, and there's no antivenom for them. What about the Craig, the Colettes? The Colettes snake, the Colettes, they're pretty venomous too, man. The Colettes.
Do they go by another name? I never heard of that one. That's cool.
No, I've only known about the Colettes. I can tell you what they are.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, they're really. We had them in.
Unfortunately, on my phone,
and Bobby was like, "We do not need to have these at the zoo. We are definitely going to be relocating these to a person who can handle this type of hot." Yep.
Hey, Captain, stop it. Yeah, no, I some of them scare me more than others. Like when I was doing my hours with Ricky, his little the green mambas, man, they're so quick to come back toward you. You have them on a hook, and all of a sudden they're on your side of the hook.
The blacks are even worse. And the blacks have hit you a couple of times.
I haven't handled a black yet, but I'm sure someday.
I'm not into elapids really. I never had that. I love forest cobras, but I never had an opportunity to get one. Because outside of the king and the Kate, that's the one you don't want to get bit by.
Oh yeah, the forest cobras are nasty though, disposition wise. All the ones I've messed with. But yeah, I love cobras. I love them all, man. But eastern diamondbacks and northern and southern copperheads are some of my favorite all-time hots.
I like the Arizona ridge nose, but I've never. That's a lifer for me. I don't know if I'll ever get out that way to even find one.
I gotta let my scratching dog out.
Good, you should, man. You should definitely go out there, Craig. That'd be a good idea. I think that'd be really cool. There's a lot of Jimmy and I went out to Arizona, and we had a really good time out there, man. Sidewinders. There's so much reptiles. If you're herping, there's so much to do.
Oh yeah,
I just want to find I love Arizona's amazing.
That's my favorite place to herp.
The rattlesnakes out there are unbelievable.
I went out in it was August of 21 during COVID, and it was nice because there wasn't a whole lot of people out and about, and I did some hiking and not one snake. I looked in it was a little too hot. It was a record day in Phoenix. It was like 116. And
he's got to make his appearance.
Nice. I looked in every crack of every rock that I could find. I saw a lot of chuckwallas, which are super cool.
Yeah.
A lot of, the desert iguanas, and some swifts.
Yeah.
And
the male collared lizard's really good in Arizona too.
I saw a bunch of collards, which are super cool out there too. But I really wish that I had seen some snakes.
Yeah, we saw some of those. One of my favorite is the Colorado River toad. That's
Yeah, for sure.
that some bitch is badass, dude.
Monsters.
It's badass. I mean, like it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a toad the size of a dinner plate.
What about the Transmigos copperhead? I don't know. Have you worked a lot with those? I haven't worked with them. Craig, how about
one
you?
of my favorite copperheads. They're very, very pretty.
Just Southerns. I've never had anything outside of a Southern copperhead.
Yeah,
so they're probably really
broadband. It was at Ricky's, but now it's at Doug's. Just waiting.
I like broadbands.
Get my shit together. He's kind of a nasty asshole, but I still like him. He's super pretty.
I had like 3 or 4 of them, and you could all hold them like corn snakes. I mean, they were great snakes.
They're pretty chill. I mean, as far as hots go that I've messed with, the copperheads are definitely one of the easiest to handle.
And they're not that potent. People can't, they think that you're going to die from a copperhead bite. And you might lose a finger, maybe. Your hand not work. Of course, everybody's different.
That's what they say about moccasin.
Well, the thing with moccasins is they eat so much crap and dead fish that you got to worry about a bacterial infection. It's not so much the venom that gets you; it's the bacterial infections.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody that I know of has died from that I've read that has died from a water moccasin yet.
The last I heard, no one in Florida. There was somebody in Arkansas that died from a Western, I think about 6 years ago. But that was the first one, the first recorded one since like 1925 or 27 or something like that.
Crazy. Yes.
They're not that potent either.
Same with the pygmies. Nobody's died from a pygmy here.
You ever heard of monkey panic?
Of what?
The guy's name, I can't remember his first name. His last name was Paddock. We called him Bunky. He lived not too far from me in Altamont Springs. And he died after a pygmy bit him, but it wasn't the pygmy that actually got it. He just went to that. I can't say the word, Jeff. You're in the medical field. Anaphylactic shock. He was also he had diabetes and he really didn't take care of himself. He did a lot of nose candy and drank a lot, and he was in bad health. And it was more the bad health and the shock that killed him than the pygmy. But people claim that as a pygmy death. I'm like, you're crazy. No, the venom didn't kill him.
That might have been the one that pushed him over the edge, but it probably wasn't what killed him. He already had a weakened immune system and all that. The only ones I really fear here are, big Eastern Diamondbacks, and which I love. It's one of my favorite Florida snakes. And
I got tagged by an Eastern Diamondback. I don't know if I ever told you guys that.
No. Dry bite or?
I say tagged. I'll tell you what happened. It was at Gatorland. And, they used to pay for snakes, right? They pay, I forgot what it was, how many foot, it was a foot for rattlesnakes. So to kind of lessen the stress on the animal, I would just put it in the snake pit and I'd give the guy a little bit more. And, we're not talking, maybe 4 feet was very rare, very, very rare. And this Diamondback was, I'm thinking, about 3 feet, but I'll give him 3.5, 4 feet, get a little something extra for the guy. And he goes, no, man, that thing's 4.5 feet. I want it measured. So I went ahead and measured it, and for some reason that day, I don't know why, because I'm right-handed, I picked it up with my left hand. I don't know why, and I measured it out, and it wasn't even 3, maybe 3.5, a little over 3.5. I'm like, all right, 3.5. He goes, no, I'll take the 4. I'm like, no, it's 3.5. Screw you, buddy. So I put her back down in the snake pit, left-handed, and pushed the head down and went to back around, and she came right back around. She got me right on the inside with this index finger, just one fang. And to this day, it was in 1987. To this day, like every 3 days or so, I can pick dead skin off of it still. So that venom does that is nuts. And I didn't go to the hospital, but I mean, it blew up like a hot dog. But I didn't get any red streaks or anything down the hand, and it hurt like hell. Everybody's like, what does it feel like? I'm like, go stick your hand in a bonfire for a couple of days. But no, I mean, that's the one and only time I've ever been tagged. I say tagged. It was like a fang prick, really. It wasn't a bite, but I'm going to claim it was a bite to be cool.
Yeah, well, venom was interesting. The finger a lot.
I would never want to be bit by any heliderms, and not to mention that I know people who have, and I've watched it. I'm like, God damn, number one. And then two, I have a couple big heliderms. I've got a real good size beaded. His name is I call him Norman.
Was that the original beaded that you got?
No. I have him too, but the one I'm talking about is much bigger. And I don't know what I was doing, and I was doing something in the shed, and I was cleaning. And they always make us have the that small little teeny 1/4-inch wire over everything, around because Gila monsters will get out and take over the world. But so I was cleaning, getting the shavings out, and I nicked my right hand right on that shit. And so it was like this little small gash hole, bled. So I put a napkin on, whatever. I had fed them, and I wasn't really. And I know I've said this before. Some of you probably heard it, but so I fed him, and I was going through, and I'm like, "Oh, you didn't eat the second rat," but he had bit it and chewed on it.
Oh, man.
I reached in there and I grabbed it, dude. And that shit got in my finger, and I swear to God, dude, it lit my hand up so much I can't even explain it, man. And I called Jay, and I go, dude, I just envenomated myself with a dead rat. He's like, what? And I told him what was up. Jay, I'm referring to Justin. And he's like, oh yeah, you'll be good, dude. And for the whole evening, dude, my whole finger just throbbed. It was just enough to really. So just me thinking about getting completely locked in by Heliderm. No fucking thanks.
Oh, dude, I heard it's just
no. Thank you. What up, homie?
Hey, what's up, Jimmy?
Can you hear me, Jimbo? Because I don't know if I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Hey, Craig, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing.
We'll get into that. What I want to touch on what she said. Yes, Justin had a Heliderm story. He was breeding, and they got into a fight inside the enclosure, and he grabbed it so that one wouldn't rip the other one's arm off. Sometimes they get a little feisty, and the female turned and just bit into his arm, and he spent more time taking the other one off, the one that was biting him, dude. But he had to ride that lightning. Oh my God, he was talking about it was black vomit, and he was just. His wife was like he turned 6 shades of gray and yellow, and it was just horrible. But all you can do is ride it out.
Yeah, there's no anti-venom they can give you for the Heliderms, right? It's just it's not even, you don't really get envenomated. It's that fucking junky carrion eating saliva.
Mm-hmm. Well, they do have venom glands in their bottom jaw, and I mean when they put that in there, bro, it's like whatever it is, it's lightning, dude. Like I just don't even. I mean. Yeah. And I know I've read stories, but I just no thanks, dude. No thanks at all.
The hognose have the Duvernay glands that they secrete a little bit of venom through.
Yeah, don't the ringnecks do that too?
Yep, the ringnecks. Actually, I think most colubrids have that gland, if I'm not mistaken. But the ringnecks and the hogs both have rear fangs. I think which is the common thing with them.
Here, but a lot of colubrids out of country, they're dangerous as hell.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. There's what is it? The boom slang's a colubrid, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Bro, that word alone, dude, sounds terrifying.
What, boom slang?
In the hospital, where'd you get bit by a rattlesnake? Oh, that sucks. Someone goes, a boom slang. You're like,
yeah,
damn, sounds like a horror
games out there. It really is. It's
and that's a slow death from a boom slang if you don't get treatment. That's a very slow death.
Yep.
God.
I've never handled them. I've seen them, but I've never handled boom slangs. So.
I like their eyes.
Yeah.
Those big old eyes. I love their eyes.
They're beautiful.
It was
what is it? The Jameson's Mamba. They're what are they?
Yeah.
Are they keeled scales on them?
They're very cool. The Jamesons.
Yeah.
So we went out I was reaching out to Kurt a little bit ago, but it's very hard to get Kurt. Like I always call it times, like now I call it nap time. I call that I'm in a deposition. I call that I'm cleaning my turtle. I call that.
I think that's
cleaning my owl. I'll call you right back 8 days later. But he set up a really good dinner last night. We went to which one of my favorites, Greg LaPera, came up, and I love Greg, man. Greg LaPera is just awesome, dude. And he was telling stories last night. He met Flavio, and Flavio was 18, and they were just like, it was just good times. But we actually went up, and I asked him to send me this, but I'm going to go with what he said because I don't remember everything word for detail on all of this. But his name was Joe Sartor. That's what it looks like. Joel Sartor. Nat Geo, he's a photographer for National, and he does National Geographic, but he has famous photos like those big books for endangered species.
No shit.
And he said that they started a whole awareness for these animals. Like some of the beetles, they did the photograph for the okay, beginners, have a good one. The beetle, that little beetle the tiger beetle in South Florida. Do you remember they were going to open a water park behind Zoo Miami?
Yeah.
Well, he went down and photographed that beetle. It made a big thing. I mean, and he said that their group, something that they're on, I want to get the platform so that I can post it, has 750 million followers.
Wow.
So he said, we've almost got 250 million people following this movement. And I heard him talking about that. At least that's what I think he said. And if I'm wrong, whatever, we'll correct it. But no, I think that's exactly what he said. And they were helping photograph, and he's staying with Kurt, and they were going around to different places. So Kurt wasn't washing his turtle, sleeping, or in a deposition at any of those moments, I'm sure. So with that being said, Kurt, if you're listening, I have reached out a couple times. I wanted to get the info, so I could have typed it in the box so people could go look at his works. His stuff's cool. We were looking through it last night. He had a book.
Grab it up.
Yep, it was really, really cool. And there was a lot of people came up there from different places. Chemists from the Walt Disney World's Epcot Center's aquarium. Him and his wife works for Animal Kingdom. So there was a lot of really cool stuff they were talking about them, it was just neat to hear a lot of those guys. And Greg came up. There was a lot of stuff. Michael Cole, good friend of mine, Elizabeth, and I really like Michael. He's probably one of the chillest, straight edge dudes that, like, business wise, I would do any business with him. He's just one of the best dudes around. And,
he's big in the U.S. Art too, and he's really good with that.
Yeah, I believe he's the secretary of his U.S. Art Florida. Is the president is Elizabeth, I believe. And they're trying to pass a law now, folks. They want to ban everything iguana-wise, so they want to get all of it. I don't see that going anywhere. So I think that it's one person, and there's a lot of things going on. But I will say that I've noticed a lot of times, hey Julie, that the FWC is moving in a different direction. Most of them have been really good, and they're really changing things around for what they're standing for, and what they're doing for what I've seen. I know people start talking shit to me or whatever, but I see and hear a lot of it. I'm very close with a lot of those people, so I see a lot of stuff going back and forth with that. And I'm fortunate there's some great officers that I know, and they've been just really good guys. And man, I just have to tell you that the ones that I've dealt with, that I've had, and that I have now, and like I said again, I got an inspection tomorrow, have been great. They're not, like, they'll ask me, hey, can you do that? They don't be an asshole about it. Yes. Right, if you don't have a certain height on an enclosure that they want, they can write you a warning. And a warning now, folks, just so you know, is the same as getting a violation in the eyes of FWC. So we want to keep that in mind. But they're cool about it, like, hey, do this. And remember, it's up to I'm sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, but when you get the cool officers, like you said, basically they're like, hey, can you just get that done? And you get it done. Day or two, send a picture, and they don't even care.
Yeah, usually they go, you just have to have it completed by this time, they'll say. And there's more than fair. They understand financial. A lot of them understand financial differences or whatever. And so they say, look, can you do this in 30 days? I'm like, no, I can't, but I'll do it in 2 hours, and I'll have a picture to you. Because I don't do that. Just nothing is worth losing what you do. And Michael Cole said about like, nothing is worth a month's income.
Say that again?
Nothing is worth 1 month's income.
Oh, okay.
Oh, great. You smuggled something in and you made $5,000. Now you're fucked. So you lost $200,000 because you did something wrong. And I think that, yes, Julie, you should have a relationship with them. And I understand. Listen, I tell them all the time, if you see something you want done, I'm serious about it. Because I'm not a Johnny come lately. I've been doing this, and people can go back and look. I'll be pushing 30 years professionally doing this in Florida, 30 years. And I think that when you look back at, you have situational problems where things are right and things that you can't control. But I remember having officers way back in the early 2000s, man, like 2000 or 98, because they would come or drop in on one of my shops, whatever, and they would find, snake poop in the cage. Now, I know that that's not allowed, but that they have the understanding to look and go, hey, that's pretty fresh. Now, if it's dried in there and stuck on the glass, they're like, hey, guys, you're slacking. That's not fair. Write me a ticket. So, but a lot of them, but lately, man, what I've had, these guys are in it for animals. And most of the guys that I know they have animals. One of the officers and I did the Great American Teach, and I got to tell you, it was pretty fun. I mean, he had his animals there. We brought mine, and it was a good time. Or they'll call me and say, "Hey, we borrow an alligator?" Right, Jimmy? You've had that. They want an alligator snapper. You know,
Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, can you borrow that civet? But
they ask, "Hey, can we borrow the big alligators to train our guys to catch them?" And they come out and take 6, 7 big alligators.
that's awesome. Give him Big Boy.
Yeah.
You just tell him.
Badger.
Just tell him you got to turn the camera off when he looks at you for a minute.
Oh man.
That's good to hear, though. And that's good to hear because back when I dealt with it, I'll say his name, John Moran. I don't know if anybody knows John Moran. I think he's gone the way of the dodo.
Yeah, but John, I remember that name, big time, dude.
He was. Can I say Dick on here? I don't know. Sometimes you get in trouble or stuff, but he was a dick.
You already said it, so roll with it, buddy. I didn't say it.
Yeah, he was a dick. He was an absolute dick. Ask Tom Crutchfield what he thinks of John Moran. And Moran got scared because right here up the road in Lake Monroe in Sanford, somebody got a rain slicker, put FWC on it, and hung it up. Had John Moran on the, and after that he kind of chilled a little bit and disappeared for a while. But he was just, God, he was.
That is just like, so on the flip side of that, that is just like an asshole animal keeper. You know, I have been in situations where I've had an officer and I'm like, you're not right on that one. And I'm not going to be a dick and start them anything. I just want you to look at this, you know, and some of them, most of the ones I've had are like, hey man, I have no idea. I will get back to you. So I'm not sure. Right. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
But I don't want to.
That happened when the Florida pine went threatened because, you know, I caught a Florida pine in 2012. They weren't even a special concern then. But when they went threatened, I went to some officers and I'm like, well, hey, am I going to get in trouble for this now? And they didn't know. Actually, they hadn't decided. State of Florida hadn't decided what to do with it. They go, just hang out with it until, you know, we figure out if there'd be grandfather clausing or what. And I went all the way to, I'm getting old, McMichael. I don't know if you know Steve McMichael. He's like the guru. He's the guy here. And I emailed him and he goes like, don't worry about it. No one's going to come to your house and take your snake. We're not going to give you a ticket until we figure out what the hell is going on. It took him like 6 months to finally figure out that I was okay. I had a picture of the snake when I caught it. It was a neonate right out of the flipping egg. I caught it up here in Sorrento. I had a picture and I had a time stamp and a year stamp of 2012. They're like, you're good. Don't worry about a damn thing.
You know, and that's good. And I want to touch on something. You know, people, they don't read. They think they know. I have people that have been talking to on a daily basis that I've known forever that are just illiterate to the FWC rule book. Okay, yeah. And you notice I don't use the word law because it's not a law.
Yeah,
they are.
That's right. You're right.
Regulations.
Yeah.
You can't. You know, there's no serious conviction till you go to court or whatever it's written for because it's a rule. You got rules that they want you to follow. And you hear a lot of words like it's up to this person's discretion. It's up to your officer's discretion.
Yeah.
You always have to have it by what the rules say, right, Jimmy? You know what I'm talking about. You always have to have it by the rules. But say Jimmy's got this on fire crocodile, dude, and he's just fucking climbing, man, doing what he wants to do. That officer's going to go, listen, you've already got it set up the way you're supposed to, and you're within the law. But I feel more comfortable due to this one's behavior that you put these further lips in. We don't want this one getting out. This neighbor of yours has X, Y, and Z. That's where they come in and I go, oh, yeah, you know, I totally agree. Because that's their job to use their judgment correctly. So, and, you know, I don't ever want to be a dick to them, dude. I think that intimidation stuff where they come out and try to do that. A lot of the younger generation does that, guy or girl, and they got to come out.
Yeah.
But if I just got out of the force and I was learning something and I was going to go to someone who's been doing it as long as we have, or Jimmy or whatever, know that we know the rules, and you go to our log and you see how long we've been in this business. Why should you go out there? We're an asset to you. So I've been very fortunate, and I've had some great guys, and I've got nothing but good stuff to say for them. And I'm not saying that the whole no organization, including the reptile organization, there's corruption, and unfortunately, you just try to do the best you can and follow those rules to the best, and make the best you can for your animals. Yeah. And folks, don't get more than you can handle. I know I've been there, dude. I'm like, oh, you know, let's just drop this off. I've been there, and I'm like, nope. Then I start placing. Nope, you guys want this, or I say no. I just say no.
Yep.
Because if you have, I always think it's good to have 2 of each animal of whatever you're using because you got like Jimmy has been on the road, he understands that, or when you're doing education.
Yeah.
Right? You always want to know. And there's some cool stuff. When I get off the show here, Jimmy, I'm going to call you because there is some information that I obtained where because you are a facility that you do allow people to come out and see, rather it be out of the goodness of your heart for donations, that we can work on prohibited species for you. So there's some things that have changed, like the rules as of a couple weeks ago has changed. Like you can take the prohibited species out now to open places. You do not have to be in a building anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you just cannot relinquish control of the animal. So you cannot put it down and then talk about it. It always has to be in your hands, period. Flavio said just put a dog leash around the middle of it and put a leash on it. Because he is always challenging them shits like that. He's got a point because you've never let it go. And so I think because we were talking about it, I said it's just so terrible to have to do that. And then you have to have equivalent now. So before it was like, concrete wall, quit blah, 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 stuff with dead hookers and sand and all this other stuff with an extra half inches, whatever. Now it's equivalent. So if you build the structure, has to have a concrete bottom, not because a lot of people make jokes, because the anaconda is going to dig. No, it's not that. It's because animals like to dig in, dogs, whatever. And if you create an opening, something can get out and then you may have an issue. I understand that. It's a blanket thing. So putting those animals out again, I really like to get the anaconda that I have, which is now 18 feet, out of my house. Okay? It looks, one of my rooms in my home look like a prison for snakes, and I just don't like it. I mean, yes, I do take them out. I exercise the stuff. Daniel's always here. He cleans a lot. And he's one of those guys, he's always googly-eyed over a snake and wants to hold this and touch that and work with that. So they get one out, but I want them to be outside. Anacondas need to be outside big like that, dude.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have them.
Question. So, like the tegus, like, are they the same case where it has to have a concrete bottom?
Yeah, but concrete.
Yep, and an equivalent. So you have to have something it can't escape from.
So let me ask
I think they make you do concrete walls to a certain.
Not any. No, it's equivalent to that now. No, they repealed it. I'll send you the information. They repealed it, which is great.
So I had was before they were put on the prohibited. I never put them under my inventory. Remember, I told you about this, Troy.
And I explained that. I explained it to them so that we can get on that too later. I'll give it all the information.
I will. Okay, because the thing is, the tegus, they weren't on my inventory, or the tegu, but I got the red now. But am I going to be able to put it on exhibit even though it wasn't? I had them prior.
Yes, if I have a yellow anaconda as a pet because I've had it forever. And I don't want to take it anywhere because let's face it, dude. It's a weenie, dude. It's a weenie. I've seen some people with some really big, like 12, 13-foot yellow anacondas that are super cool, man. Like I was like blown away at how big and awesome they were. But mine is just, dude, it's just a little spicy. So I could put it on display and I could take it out and let it go on display, but I'm not going to take it out and bit shit out of it. So I just keep it on the pet permit. So you could do that and switch it over. I'm just glad that I'm able to take the animals out and do the educational work. Now I do take them to the Gaylord Palms, or Daniel. We have Daniel do it. Takes them to the Gaylord Palms. And the reason we do that is because we get a really big group of people there for education. And I get some questions, guys. I'll do a segment. We'll do a segment next week on, and I want you to think about it. You too, Craig. I'll bring you back for it. Write down the dumbest things that you hear people ask you about these animals that are prohibited. Not just the dumb stuff they ask you, like, I can't believe you said that. No, absolutely not. But the dumb things you hear, a woman told me that. I'll just give you a teaser. A woman told me that she was saving a turtle off the road and that it sucked inside of its body, spun around, shot out the backside, and bit her in the toe.
I had a lady ask me how many days before baby snakes open their eyes and stuff like that.
Now that to me, you're right, because they really don't know. So
they don't know. That's a quick impromptu lesson right there. I love doing impromptu educational speeches real fast. I love doing that.
Yeah, no, I think my
favorite.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeff. What were you saying?
I was going to say, I think my favorite was when somebody asked me if I had heard about the Everglades Burmese hybridizing with Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake.
I remember you talking about that.
Right? It's like, well, one live bears and one lays eggs. So how's that going to work?
Well, we were at the Palms, and we were doing we do it every Saturday. So if you guys are around, you ever want to stop and see us, come out and see us. We're there on Saturdays. And if you want me to be there specifically, reach out to me if you're coming, because Daniel handles all that for me. He's my guy out there. But if you're going to come in, you're in town or whatever, you're out of town, you want to come out, and it's on a Saturday night, just call me. We'll be there, and I'll show up and hang out and chat with you. But this guy comes up to me with his family. He's like, listen, and he was just like this too. He's like, listen, I know it's like real hush in Florida, but I want to take the family to where those snakes kill those people in South Florida. They're that big, like they eat kids and stuff in Miami and all that. Where can you see this? Like,
right.
Where can you see it? Like, just kill it. Like, and I'm like, I've never heard of a snake eating children in Miami that I know of, unless someone was feeding newborns to anacondas and I didn't know about it. I mean, I don't. But they said that where they're from, the country where they're from, they were from Europe. I don't remember where. They preach that.
Isn't it how crazy?
You can go down there and see it, and there's guys now that are hustling these people, saying they've said they've showed up and they'll have a pickup truck, and they've screwed beach chairs to
only in Florida.
Flatbed wooden trailer, man. I mean, Jimmy and I missed out because he's got big trailers. We could have bagged him out on that motherfucker. But they screw the beach chairs on there, and they take people on these quote-unquote night hunts, and they charge them $400 a person to go out and hunt a monster snake.
I think we need to get us a dune buggy or something for South Florida, or swamp buggy.
Those
exactly, and go find. Yeah, you're going to have to do. You might as well get a rebreather, and hope to God you can make it to where you find them, because you don't find them as often as people say where they are. They just
no.
Too many of them.
No,
and I'm sorry, folks, but
there's a lot, but then they kind of go back into the little hidey holes, and
I just don't. I'm not going to make too many comments about it on the air because of what I do, but I just don't understand how people get into that. Go ahead.
One of my biggest pet peeves is, like, we were just at this show on the weekend, and but there's still so many people that's uneducated, and it's like they listen to little parts of what people are saying, and the biggest thing they say to me is like, so all these anacondas that they're finding,
okay.
I'm like, for one,
I've never even heard that.
Yeah, they aren't anacondas, and I said, they're Burmese pythons, but that's where it all begins, and then that starts a domino effect, and then that starts all the bullshit for us, and everyone here has been in the business, is in the business, and we all hear it on a daily basis if you're around
all the time.
Because your average person really just doesn't, like, man, Jimmy, they don't believe whatever they see, like on TV or whatever they see on Facebook, like like, oh, you have to drive an electric car, you're killing the atmosphere. I don't know if you saw my story earlier that I posted, but it was that stupid girl going, oh, the water, and this guy got a muscle car, just lit it up, dude, and burned it up. Fuck it, they lie. There's more people on the planet than cows, and then they say cow farts are killed. There's so much, and I know someone's going to chew on me for it, but I don't really care. To me, it's all propaganda. And if science really never lies, and you can really look at numbers. Numbers are a really big thing too for me. Like, they never lie. Numbers never lie, right? It's just somebody gets their idea of data, and even if it's incorrect data, and then there's never an opposing data. I've never seen opposing data on studies on the Burmese pythons, the retics or whatever they're finding. I don't even know why retics. I have never seen an established colony of retics anywhere.
Yeah, somebody found one time, and that's it.
It's all
right, but that, dude, if you had that, you could find. I found some really beautiful. One time, I found a Solomon Island boa crossing the road in Gainesville.
Yeah.
Was it on Solomon Island?
Yeah, I looked at I'm like coming up on it, and I'm like, what is that? I was like, is that an albino? What the fuck is that? I whip up on it, it's this beautiful boa. Somebody lost it. You know what I mean? I put an ad out.
I found a free boa in Holy Lands.
Did you?
Yeah.
But I was 17 years old, and I brought it back to the village, and
what's up, Croc Fest?
And they're like, they described what it was, but man, I put it in the water snake habitat. I thought it was just a fucked up looking brown water snake.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're like, his eyes are big, man. Something's wrong with him.
I used to go python.
He hybridized with a frog.
That was one of the python territories for FWC, was Holy Lands and Rotenberger.
Man, I got to tell you, Jimmy, you live down there, but I got to tell you guys, my cowboy days were in the mid 90s till about 2004. Okay. And we would round it up down there, dude. And when I mean round it up, you could go down any given night and catch 11 or 12 spec caimans. I don't care what anybody says. We got the photos. I got the proof. My family. I mean, you could talk to Flavio, all that kind of stuff, man. Hey, Curlette. Curlette's here.
Hey, Colette.
Oh, hey, Colette.
That's Curlette. So that'd be Kurt, who loves Colette. So, Curlette, do me a favor while you're on. I'm glad you're here because we're getting to the top of the show. Type in your friend. I talked about him a little bit already. Did put his name out, but if there's anything you can put in the comments for me because it will be there permanently where they can go look. I think you said it's taken him 20 years to photograph 16,000 endangered species. I believe that's what you just said to me. But write that in there. The following where he was talking about 750 million, where they can go to look at this stuff, another archiving website. I would love all that for these people because I see that. Just give me the info for Joe Sartor. We know that. Just show me the links and stuff where we can do that. That'd be great. And we'd be able to. I just muted your mic, Jeff, for a minute till you get back. Put that stuff in there. He's the Nat Geo Photo Arc. Okay. So there's got to be a place they can go do that and check it out because he's got some great stuff. And I was looking. I actually have a National Geographic book. You ever see that big one, guys? It's like super big and it's got endangered species in it. I've seen his name was listed in a couple of those things. So real quick before we go, Jimmy, how was the weather for you this past week? How was the weather this past week?
Fucking weather has been terrible. Honestly, we've been fortunate. The winter hasn't been extreme, but the last few days was, over the weekend was ridiculous. It got down to, I think, 27 degrees here, 28.
Yikes.
No.
It was cold.
That's absolutely disgusting, Jimmy. That's disgusting.
Yeah. But everyone did great. Everyone did good and no complaints. And, the reptile room didn't get under 68 degrees, which I am okay with. And, so it just, everyone did very well. So.
What's up, Samantha? How are you?
Hey, Samantha.
Yeah, where are you at? Where are you at, Jimmy? Samantha wants to know where you are.
We're in Ocala.
Julie said it's cold in Baltimore. Oh no!
I bet it's cold as hell in Baltimore. I felt like Maryland here last weekend.
You're still up in Samantha's up she's in Kentucky, I think. Still, that's just nasty there, man. Are you Samantha? Are you still working at the aquarium there? If you want to say, you don't have to, or you can text to me. Yeah, Jimmy, I'm pretty excited. I want to I got inspections tomorrow, so I got to get through that stuff, and everything's good. I'm just glad they're coming tomorrow because I have everything out. If it had been Monday, I'd be like, well, you're going to come in here and we're going to look through some tubs, which he has. He's been great. My officer came last year, and it was probably 45 degrees when he showed up that morning at like 9:30, man. He just kind of popped in. He's like, hey, I go, come on in, man. Have a great time. There ain't nothing out there. And we went in the room, and he was like, looking from floor to ceiling. He was looking like I just had crocodile stacked, and then you have their snakes are stacked, and I know I label everything, but it's all in there. And he was just looking like this. He's like, wow. And I go, yeah, man, because it's freezing. So everybody was in, which kind of sucks because when those guys come, I like having the lemurs out, and now the capybara likes to rub them up and hug your legs and stuff, dude. So it'll be a good time for them.
That's a good way to butter up the officer.
Yeah, right. Come again, bud?
They enjoy seeing everything when they come out.
They do. We talked about that. They do. They're in it for that. If I was going to be an FWC officer, so I would just get to know people and really see what they got. You really get to interact, and those guys get to do a lot of things and see a lot of things that the average person just doesn't get to do or see.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, you get to shoot poachers, carry a gun without any problem, lay around the woods and catch somebody poaching a deer, strap them up. To me, that's great.
Yeah. Find all the good pot fields,
Yeah, and they're like, hey, we found it. We're not going to talk about that. Just cut it down.
Cut it down and burn it in little papers.
Michelle, she said, I got dog shit for an office. Well, that sucks. Well, like I said, folks, I will always tell you that when you are addressing the Florida Fish and Wildlife, address them the same way they would want you to be addressed. And when not all those guys are bad dudes. I'm sorry. I mean, they're just not. And I'll say it again, and they know it. They're just not. And I'm not kissing ass. I don't give a fuck. If anybody knows my history and knows how I feel about certain law enforcement and what I did for most of my life, you already know I'm not bullshitting you. Some of these guys love animals, and I mean, really love animals and they're collecting and breed and they're into exotics. And that's what they do, man. They just want to look out for it. And I have no problem with that at all. I think that's absolutely good. And that's the kind of people you need. I don't think you need people that don't know what they're doing. Or someone that you should not be allowed to work if you hate animal owners, period.
It's good they got people that not people handling the law enforcement doing that. Because when I went in the law enforcement, there were people like, well, what am I going to do? Well, there's always FWC. They didn't know shit about animals. So it's good if you got animal people going into that. Definitely.
You can mute me.
You remember, Craig, I know you remember this. You remember the old trucks, bro? Mm-hmm. They were cream seafoam green, and they had a little silver thing, and it said GFS on it.
Yep.
You remember that? We were catching because we used to catch. There was this pond, and we used to let them breed, and we would catch a lot of the barking tree frogs way back in the day. Because people like barking tree frogs, and I remember this guy. We had bags of them, dude. Legitimately. And I remember seeing that little cream truck coming out there, little green cream, dude, that little mint chocolate chip truck. And he said, "You guys out here picking mushrooms? How is that regulating wildlife? Dude, what do you mean? What are you looking for, man? What are you looking for?"
That's what I'd ask.
You know what? One organization, though, is that they need to up their game is the agricultural stations going in and out of state. Those, and not all of them, but there's a handful that I do a lot of time traveling in and out of state doing educational shows. And I've been stopped and held more than on one occasion thinking that my sulcata was a gopher tortoise.
I wanted you to tell them the story about your 70-pound gopher tortoise.
Bro, it was the most I held for hours. Croc got held, that was with us on the show, and they thought it was gopher tortoises until supervisors were called in. I mean, it's just, we get it a lot, and it's just.
I see it, Michelle.
So.
Yeah, stopping sometimes, or you'll roll up there, dude, and you're like, okay, we just spent the last 5 minutes making sure all the paperwork was good to go, and they roll the window down, they look down, they go, "Where are you going?" You're like, "Oh, I'm just doing a show." I'm okay. With all those silverback gorillas and rhinos in there, man. We did it. Yep. We don't want none of that. Get it going. Or you go to some states in the United States of America where they think alligators are an endangered species.
That's true. We were just talking about
in this country.
You, Troy, you told the officer, you were like, "Sir, just so you know, none of these animals are endangered."
Yeah, I had to tell him because he knew what he was talking about. I said, New York needs to change its rules. I know they were trying to want to arrest Jimmy and stuff, but I was just so pissed that they don't know. When someone comes in and does that, it just makes you mad, dude. Like, I'm like, I don't know where you're. He's like, "Well, you're out. Everything that's endangered needs to come off." And I go, "Well, sir, none of it's endangered. So,
not one animal."
Sorry, Texas needs to update its laws. Period. Alligators were endangered in the 70s. So, okay, I understand that. People were coming to Florida from New York and buying them, and then they were like throwing them away and shit, or flushing them, or throwing them down. And then they made the movie Gator Bait or whatever the hell, or Gator, whatever, and it would like shoot out of the sewer. And then everybody thought they were growing up down there. Now, I don't think it's impossible, okay, because, the water temperatures underneath the city are going to be significantly hotter than the top, and those animals are, I mean, God, I sent you guys some stuff this week of alligators frozen solid in the ice, man, like solid.
Yeah, the Carolinas, I saw that.
Isn't that great? So there's
did they come back?
Yeah, so there's no reason for them to not be able to live on for a decent. I mean, obviously, they're not getting 20 feet down there. But alligators are very tolerant of darkness. They can feed on rats, and I don't know if you've seen the rats in New York, not the one the mafias talk about, the ones with hair.
Oh,
and those things,
loaded, man.
I mean, they can live on that.
Look at the dwarf crocs that have adapted to cave life.
Yeah, I know.
In Africa, they live in the caves exclusively now.
Jimmy and I did one of the tours. We host tours and stuff every couple of years, and we did a tour, and we learned about this alligator that 25 years it lived in the wild in Arizona. Finally got caught. It was eating this guy's cattle. Remember that?
Yep.
And they ended up getting a call. They found it with a helicopter, and there's like pictures of it. And Russ, he owns the Phoenix Herp Society, and he had pictures. I mean, I guess they were looking for this. They were talking about it, and like, well, there's some big lakes in Arizona out when you go whatever. But on this guy's cattle ranch, I guess he was taking coyotes and calves. Yep. But they got him, and he now currently lives over there. He was bought. They traced it back 25 years to the guy who bought it. And then thought it would be okay. And 25 years ago, he let it go thinking it would not make it or whatever. And it did. And it's like a big beef. Like, remember that shit, Justin climbed in with?
Yep.
Yep. So, stuff like that can live. Caimans, they're pretty too, man. People freak out about them, but crocodiles are the only ones I know that really have a hard time with cold, and that's just because they just haven't had to evolve to it yet. But I don't think it's unachievable, especially with the way they're being bred in different parts of the United States. Like sulcatas. You remember when they were imported, Greg?
Oh yeah.
Like in 1990, you could buy a sulcata that was 100 pounds for $5 to $10.
Yeah.
Well, those animals would die the minute they got real cold because when they got real moist and wet in Florida.
Remember the place up in Colorado, the Gator Farm? They have Nile crocodiles that lay in sun on snow. And they have hot springs, but guarantee you that shit's down in the teens when those Niles are out there laying in the snow.
Or less than that, because you're talking out in Colorado Springs, so you're maybe 2 degrees, maybe sometimes 3 below. Yep, I've seen the pictures. You're correct. I've seen.
Yeah, Niles are out there doing that, and don't get me wrong, they have the hot springs, but still, it's fucking cold. So
I really would like to get into it. I'm gonna be talking with Kent Vliet pretty soon because he's gonna come and do some pictures of animals. And one of the things I really am curious about, seriously, guys, I've always wanted to know about this, and when I find it, I'll let you know. Like if you look, and Jimmy knows because we've done this. We've taken crocodiles and alligators out of very, very, very cold states where they need to be removed. And if you look at some of these animals that are raised in these type of environments, cold places like Idaho, even if it's indoors, you ever notice that most of the alligators look like broad snouts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Crocodiles are really distorted. They'll have a giant body and their head looks like a fucking piece of pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like, what's going on? And they're all twisted and torqued, or their eyeballs are like, they're like, they look like when, like someone's squeezing a frog and its eyes are way out here and they're all bloodshot. It's like that old.
Alf.
We call them cellar gators.
I did have one named Alf. He was, I can't say it on the air, but he had like a thing where he was he looked down a lot. You know what I'm saying?
And design was
it was like this. The 2 eyeballs, guys, were very right next to each other, and then it was like this broad hump from it looked like a preorbital rise from between the eyes to the snout. He was the weirdest looking alligator. He's one of my favorites, but something's wrong with him. He didn't live that long, but but the cold crocodiles and those cold climates, they just look terrible. Yeah. They always have a stumpy, small head, so that's interesting to me. So I'm going to talk to him about that because we found a black. Remember a leucistic caiman? Remember that, Jimmy?
Oh, that sounds cool.
I showed it to Ken. I said, "Man, look at his nuchal scutes and stuff on his neck." And he goes, "Oh, that he didn't even drop on." He said, "Oh, that's from being hot and cold rapidly." So one day it was really, really hot. The next day it was really cold, hot. He said, "So that was a rapid water." So I guess that has something to do with it. So I really want to pick his brain about that growth because I found it really, really interesting. And Holly said that maybe one day the salties will travel to New Zealand from Australia. I can dream. Well,
maybe you'll get some snakes once in a while too, Holly.
I will tell you that I read an article as we get off here. I read an article everybody will be interested in. I'm sure Craig, he gets it before all of us do. So don't steal my shine, Craig. Don't steal my shine.
I won't.
But I'm sure you've seen it. We have the American crocodiles now migrating north.
I've heard that.
We found that they're actually migrating, populating a little further north. They're getting a little bit more tolerant to the cooler weather, or they're figuring out ways to adapt. So they said that was great news. I cannot wait. Well, I'm kayaking.
At one time they were a lot further
north. What's that?
At one time they were a lot further north.
We did a lot of that bullshit. We killed a lot of them. I mean, mainly.
That's like when I typed last week. Our next nuisance animal is going to be the American crocodile. Is that one in Melbourne that everybody was freaking out about because it ate a pug. The owner was letting his pug run around the neighborhood, not on a leash, and it ate a pug. What was that? Jimmy's had to go.
What was that? Did you do that, Jimmy?
Was that a UAP or?
What the fuck was that, dude?
On the screen again. I supposedly when I went like this, like a thumbs up, sometimes it will react to it. I know.
Do it.
It's random. It's random.
Is it in your thing, dude? That's freaking cool. I'm scared.
I don't know.
I saw this ghost thumb floating around, and I was like, hey. But yeah, people do freak out. You're absolutely right. And you know what? You're right. I did see that post. You did do that. You did talk about that being the next nuisance. I understand what you're saying, and I think they're wrong. I think if you stay away from them, they'll stay away from you.
Yeah, just like all the other
you guys hit the nail on the head last week. not saltwater crocs. Every croc has a reputation of freaking just going after everybody and eating their nuts, and it's just not true. It's not true at all.
Yeah, especially for Americans. The reason that they do that is because they all hover around that crocodile bridge in Costa Rica. So when you're constantly feeding them and making them come up like that, and they see people, man, they're getting into that frenzy. But here, we've spent so much time. We're being corrected. Kurt will correct everyone. Nope. The historic range of American croc is halfway up the state. So you're wrong, Craig. Kurt just told you.
What was it?
Kurt, that's Curlette.
I can't read it.
It says nope first. The historic range of American croc is halfway up the state.
That's what I meant. They used to be a lot farther north than what they are now.
I know that's what you meant. He said nope halfway, so I don't know what that means. Kurt, calm down. Are you drinking that whiskey? But yeah, I remember they were further, but we did a lot of shit, man. We depleted the water, we did a lot of stuff. But I know for a fact American crocs. It's very interesting to me because I was talking, Flavia and I were talking last night extensively about this. I remember my introductions to crocs. It was off the levee. And these brothers would be down there, these black dudes, dude. They sat down there all the time and they fished with these buckets. And they would actually pull the strap of meat out of these gars when they would get them and store that. And then there would be this big chunk of fish. And we were talking about how they learn. And they would like slap the side of the ground and they'd call this guy, I forget what his name was, like Leroy or Hermit, whatever they called him. And he would come up and they would feed him, but he would just lay on the bank with his mouth open. And to me, an 8-foot crocodile, 9-foot crocodile was 15 feet when I'm 8 years old, and I remember seeing that. My mom never liked me going near the canals or any of that kind of stuff. We'd be getting in trouble all the time, man. Why'd you go over there? You'll drown in seaweed or get tied in your leg. But we'd go out with my cousin and we'd go out and we'd see these guys fishing, and my cousin would take us and we'd go fishing. And they would talk to us, but when those animals were done, they'd be like, "Oh, now get out of here." And then the croc would just back down and leave. And I remember telling Flavia, like, it's just amazing to me. So I was like, that's
smart
really cool.
Animals, you know that.
Yeah. And so we would see that when you'd see him, like, Jimmy, the first time you saw an American croc in the wild, you're like, it's just awesome.
Oh, dude, it was. I saw it with Flavio the first time, as a matter of fact.
Oh my God, it's amazing, dude.
It's awesome. I have some great pictures of the American crocs. Just their scoots sticking out of the water. You're like, that's no friggin' alligator right there.
I remember we were down in the Keys and we were snorkeling, Jimmy. We got off the kayaks and we were snorkeling through the mangroves. And I came around the corner with a friend of ours named Tyler, me and Cody, and a friend of ours, Tyler. We just went camping down there to go hang out and do like some herping and catching tokays and knives. It was a really good time. That's the night, guys. I caught an entire blue tokay with no orange on it. It was awesome. But anyways, we kept it a long time. It finally died. We had it for a while. It was really cool. But I was coming around the mangrove, the corner, and there was a little 5 foot, 4.5, 5 foot crocodile tucked up on the ground. When I came around, I was like, well, that's cool. I just kind of went back. I don't want him to like get startled and get scared, but he was trying to hide from him. And the guy up there said, yeah, they hide from the bigger ones up through here. So he tells everybody, when you rent a kayak or whatever, if you see a crocodile, don't bother it. It won't bother you. Just leave it alone. Then years later, I get on with the Croc Docs and we go out there to do nest surveys and we're passing people, because we go out during the day early, that are floating by these islands where the nests are, and these crocs are laying underneath and they don't even have no idea that they're just there. And I remember when they run, dude, they get that head swing and their legs are flailing. They look like a Jesus lizard, right? And they would hear the boats coming to the island and they would run off. And it was like seriously watching Nat Geo and watching Salty slide off the mud banks. It was unbelievable. And 20 feet out, you got some guy sitting in a roly-poly with his ass through a donut with a fucking turbis. Anybody knows what that is. And I'm like, Jesus. Kurt and I went one day. It was like that. And he's here and we went and saw that. And they just go blasting off the island. And it's never ceased to amaze me. So today, there are probably 2,500 non-hatchling animals in the wild. Well, that's good. We're getting them up there. Yeah. Well, that's good information, guys. So, thanks for Protection Monitor by Frank Mazzotti and the Croc Docs. Yep. Don't forget Venetia, Dr. V. She's awesome. Thank you guys for coming out. Craig, thanks for popping in. I know it's late charge, but you start talking. I'm like, yeah, Craig's typing away. Let's chat with him. Jimmy, thanks for popping in. A little tied up. I think Brittany's daughter's sick, I think, so she got a little tied up with the children. But yeah, we love having everybody out here and supporting us and saying what's up. And it was good to see Curlette on here correcting us. And Holly, thanks for coming in from New Zealand. Where you are. I like seeing everybody out there. All the people that join us, thank you for coming out and supporting us every week. We love hanging out and talking with you and having a good time. So we appreciate that. We're going to sign out. We'll see you guys next week. maybe it was something even cooler to talk about. Everybody